Let's start with the introduction. The first topic that we will be learning about is about Python's popularity. This is the survey from the statistics that you can see the most popular language right now in 2023 is Python, with the obvious reason that, in our universities, even when we choose for any master's program, we have options like CS, cybersecurity concentration, AI concentration, or maybe data science and advanced machine learning. So in all these courses, on the very first semester, they have included either Java or Python. And there must be a reason for that. Just because only if you know Python, it will be easier for you to sail through the entire course. So even in cloud computing, you need Python. So pretty much this is the important, the first two courses, as you can see, Python and Java, these two are usually included in your syllabus of your university's master program. So that's about the popularity, why we are learning it, and make sure that we're going in the right direction. So these are the real world applications of Python. So you can see artificial intelligence is steered by Python, even robotics, because it's actually AI. In robotics, we are using machine learning. Even for quantum computing, web development, or testing, automation, blockchain, ethical hacking. So web scraping. Web scraping is like in the web, whatever data is there, you can collect it. It's kind of a collecting data. So now what happens in today's world, information is very important. And the most important thing is information. So that's why as much information as you can collect, that's the benefit for the companies. So even big companies like Google, Microsoft, and Facebook, all of them are running their companies based on information. So why Python has been chosen for these areas? Because Python is very fast in collecting data. The looping structure, automation, it runs very fast. So that is why they have chosen Python for these cases. Because in all these scenarios and the areas, you need data. All are dependent on data. For example, like for artificial intelligence, you have like Amazon's Smart Echo. You have the Google Mini, which usually provides you, it's an AI thing, where they can play a song, they can also tell you the directions if you want. So what happens is that those devices are fed with data. So a robot can only work when you train them initially. They don't know anything by itself. So when you're training them, you're putting lots of data into it. So that's why, AI requires a lot of manipulation in data. So that is why usually Python is preferred. For example, in ethical hacking also, I am doing masters in this cybersecurity. So for me, I can tell you an example. Like if we have a website to hack, we have either a password or a username. So if we get hold of a username, which is very easy, or an email address, so for getting through the website using their password is difficult, because you have to do a hit and trial method. If it is an easy word, like say, for example, 12345 or basic admin. So if you have such passwords, you can do a trial using, you have 1,000 or 2,000 or lakhs of millions of data in a notepad. You just run a Python code. It will keep trying in 1 or 2 seconds. It will try around 10,000 of passwords. And if one matches, then it will go through it. So it's easy. So there is a very small time frame. Like if we have to hack something, we usually get a very small time frame, like 1 minute or 2 minutes. In that, within that time frame, if we have to try as many options, then we have to choose a language which is faster than any other. So that is why this is used. So in every case, data is common. So a data engineer or data analysis is required in all the cases, because everyone is related to this, and the business runs on data. So overall, this is why. This is the reason why we choose. And so, now what is Python? Python is an interpreted language. So let's say there's one more language like Java, C, C++. There are many languages. So why Python is interpreted language? Because the source code is compiled into machine code at runtime. And what does this mean? Now, source code is whatever we write. Okay. So a machine code is what the machine understands. Always when in Python, what you write, like hello world, you're writing in English, which is understandable to you. But actually, in the backend, computer understands only zeros and ones. That is the digital input. So to convert the language that we write or the easy understandable language that we write and named it as Python. So the purpose is it acts as a bridge. It converts those language, whatever we wrote, into machine code, that is combinations of zeros and ones. So, and then it feeds it to the computer, and computer gives the result accordingly. So this thing, interpretation, it acts as an interpreter. So Python is an interpreted language. Immediately when you write a code, it immediately at that point of time, it converts it at runtime. That is why it is called the interpreter language, because the source code is compiled into machine code at runtime. That is why writing the code itself, when you write immediately, it does it. There are no other steps required. It does it at the real time. Okay, so this is how it is more flexible and easy to develop any application. So I'll give you an example. So this is a PyCharm. This is an environment of PyCharm where we will usually write the code. So do you all have any doubt? So so far, are you good? Omi and Reena?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay. So
I'm sorry. I have just one more very quick question.
Sure.
You say this is interpreted language. They use the symbol like for expressing the language. I'm sorry.
yes,
The code. What type of code they use for the expressing the language?
so this is only Python that they use. There are different like Java, Python. There are different kinds of languages they use, but computer only understands zeros and ones. They don't understand any language. So we named it Python because there are many languages. This might be built by someone who is the owner of this person. So Python also is made by someone. So everyone names it to a different language. So that is why it's unique. Python is a way of expressing the language, and that is why every language has their own kind of expressing way. But ultimately, everyone converts it to the machine language so that computer can understand, and that's zeros and ones. So whatever language that we are writing, that is called Python. So that is being converted, and it is converted into real time at that very point of time. That is why it is known as interpreted language. There is interpreted, it is known as interpreted language, and Java, on the other hand, is not an interpreted language. It is a compiled based language. That is the difference, because when you write a Java code, you have to first write the entire code. Then you have to convert it to some other, there are steps to convert it to the machine code. Then you have to run it to get the result. But Python, it doesn't happen like that. It happens immediately at that point of time. Okay, so, am I able to clear your doubts?
Yes. Thank you.
So, Reena, am I able? Are you good with so far?
Yeah. Actually, I've learned few knowledge about Python, and right now we are learning the def function, I think.
Okay, which functions?
Definition function.
Okay, cool. So we'll go a little bit faster from here, because this is actually, if you are given any questions in interview, usually they ask it. So kind of covering it so far, because in the first round you cannot expect what they will ask. It can be anything. So you should, at least know this will make revise you with all the concepts. So why actually they don't ask what it is, they ask why it is. So you must know why we are calling it an interpreted language. So that is why I'll just give a small intro in every topic, and we'll move forward so that we can reach to the function phase quickly. So as I was saying, since Python is an interpreted language, for example, this is an IDE where we write integrated development environment, IDE, where we are writing and running the Python codes. So we have chosen PyCharm for us, our session. So now, if, for example, if we are writing a variable x equal to 5 and y equal to 10, okay, so if we are printing x plus y and running the program, you will immediately get the result as 15. You can see. So this is what it is telling as an interpreted language, that it is calculating it itself at the runtime only. At this point of time only, it is calculating and running it. So in Java or any other language, it doesn't happen like this. You have to convert it into a compiled file, a different file. You have to convert it .java file. Then you have to run it and compile it. Then it happens. So that's why it is running at interpreted language. It is called, because converts the source code into machine code at runtime. So next topic that we are going to discuss is object-oriented. Object-oriented language is called OOPS language, where we have classes and objects in Python, so that we can create multiple classes and their objects, so that with that objects you can use all the properties of the classes into different programs. So it increases your reusability. You write a code once, you can use it any time in the future if you want from that class. So in the later course, you will know what I was referring to. Then there are fast built-in libraries where you have predefined code written so that you can use it. Like, for example, we are just adding x plus y in the previous case, but if you import libraries where it is already written for summing or for multiplying two numbers, if you just write that sum as sum, it will do the addition for you itself. And that doesn't mean that it is doing it by magic. They might have written the code of addition and has put it in the libraries up in the Python repository. So from there, they import those libraries to make their work easier, so that they don't have to write silly codes which are not, which are not required to write if you have a ready-made solution for it. So that is where fast built-in libraries come into picture. After that, we have this property that Python is functional. That means it supports multiple function styles and techniques, and known as functional programming, where you can write functions and change the name of the functions. Based on that, you can do whatever you want, and you can assign the name of the functions related to the task that you want to perform. Like for addition, you have written a function add. For a subtraction, you can write sub, sub. So for multiplication, mul. So in this way, if you want to use any one of those, you can just call that function and it will do your job and return your result. So that's how you can divide every task into modules, small modules in Python. So when we will write a code, you will understand how it should be done. Then of course, simple syntax. Python is famous for simple syntax. It's more easy to understand, and that is why it became famous. And it's easy to learn as well because it is similar to English. So again, what is Python and why we use Python? Because of rapid development, dynamically typed. That means you can, whenever you're writing something in Python, for example, here, if I'm writing, if you're writing z plus 8. So you can see when I wrote z plus 8, obviously it is a wrong statement. You can see it has just marked it in red color. You can see here there is a red color unresolved reference. That means immediately when I'm typing it, it is detecting the error that it is wrong. You cannot add 8 to z. It should be a number. So that is why dynamically it detects all the value while typing, even the errors. So that's what is known as dynamically typed. Then we have community. Always a language has a community developed online where you can ask your doubts while programming. If you came across any issues, you can post in the community. Anyone in the world can help you and provide you a solution. So you can get any solution online. So that's how the community is there, and it is very large and vast. Then of course as it is having simple syntax, it's easy to learn. Performance is very good because for web scraping and large data handling, Python is used. And of course, like I told you, built-in libraries are there, ready-made modules you can use. So similarly, there are third-party libraries as well, which is not made by official Python programmers. They can be any other programmers. They can write and provide it to you so that you can use it. And third-party libraries are usually paid libraries where you wrote for example, when you learn Python, you can write your own program. For example, you can write a weather report, which provides you the daily weather report if your program runs. So you can convert it into a library and you can sell it as an application. So anyone uses your library, they have to just import your library and they have to just call in your weather method or a weather function, and that will do the job. They don't have to write anything. You will write it and you can put it as a library and sell it. So that's why there are different third-party libraries existing in the internet. You can just download it, use it if you want to. Then of course, there are few examples of third-party libraries like Cherry and Boto. Cherry is actually a framework where we use it to build web applications. We will be using it in future when we use web applications. It is easy to handle the response and request of HTTP. That is why it is used. And it is one of the topmost built-in libraries of Python. Then we have Boto. Boto is actually a library that provides Python to interact with Amazon Web Service. We have cloud computing environment nowadays. People are shifting from traditional on-premise environment to cloud. Everything is pushed to cloud. So Amazon Web Service, for example, is the biggest player in cloud. So if you have a code, for example, you need a database for your application. You need a SQL database. So instead of having it installed in your computer or maintaining your own database, you can ask AWS to provide you the database. So if you get a database from Amazon AWS, it is known as S3. They call it S3. So you can use that. So to use that, you have to connect with Python. Using Python, you have to make a connection so that you can use it. So in that case, Boto library is very helpful. It helps you to connect and interact with AWS cloud. And so there is you can visit this website known as pythonanywhere.com, where you can find all the libraries and their descriptions. So those are known as batteries in Python, but it's actually libraries where you can read about it, and whatever you want to build, you can use those libraries from there. So now the software setup. I want you to install PyCharm and Python in your system so that we can go ahead with the programming. So these are the steps where you have to do. You have to first install Python in your program, then an environment to run the Python program. That is PyCharm. So once you install PyCharm, maybe we can go through the features of PyCharm later on. For the time being, you can know that in PyCharm, for commenting multiple lines, you have to use 3 dots, 3 single quotes for commenting multi-lines, and indentation is very important, which you have to know in Python, which while programming, I will show you what I was talking about.